Good evening. Welcome to Satellite Showtime. We want to thank you for all the calls you've been making to our studios. We do appreciate them. You've been telling us about all sorts of things in the satellite industry that concern you, from scrambling to zoning and other things. And we want to let you know we want you to still call. Our toll-free number is 1-800-826-5285. And we have two other lines available for people outside of the U.S. and in Wisconsin. Those numbers are 608-647-4246 and 608-647-8902. Here are some of the calls we've received so far.
I'm in a very intensely cable area, and I've been operating for about a year and a half. I was just wondering, with the scrambling and the smokescreen that's gone up with that, with the bad press, I was just wondering if you're going to continue your format on the scrambling seminars per se. Well, you know, as you devote to panel discussions on your show.
Right. Scrambling is probably going to be our #1 issue in our show from now on. Scrambling and zoning are the most important things. And we are going to run our panel discussion, the entire part of it, including scrambling, on May 28th and June 4th, starting at 8 o'clock Eastern Time.
I'd like to commend you on what you're doing as far as a programming source for consumers and dealers alike.
And do you have any questions or comments about Satellite Showtime?
I really like it. I wouldn't miss it for anything. And probably if I had any statement is they don't leave the phone numbers on long enough sometimes. You know, when they put them on the little white letters. And I'm writing like crazy and miss about half of them. But other than that, tonight they've been better.
I must tell you, that was a very interesting show here, and I was quite taken on regarding now that we've got somebody pushing towards the satellite systems coming in. And I find it very interesting now that we're putting up a fight against these people, such as HBO, I guess, or whatever you call them, that want to scramble. I just thought I'd throw in my 2 cents and thank you people for the job well done. And it's probably the only piece of information that I've seen that's been positive towards satellite systems here in Canada. All we get here is a bunch of negative jargon and nobody to counter against it. And I'm glad something is coming about it.
The F4 signal you're putting out is very good. This transponder is terrific up here.
It's hard to be able to get a standardization on the system installations. And definitely, and I will say triple plus, distributors do not provide good information on the new equipment that is on the market.
Okay, do you have any possible solutions to this?
I think with more of a training on the dealer part, like small seminars and some manuals, will be definitely plus for the dealer. It will help standardize the installations.
And keep those phone calls coming at 1-800-826-5285 and 608-647-4246 and 608-647-8902. We'll have more of Satellite Showtime, including more viewer calls, right after this.
For a limited time only, you can receive Channel Guide for a special reduced rate. For just $9, you will receive 8 weeks of Channel Guide, a month of Galaxy One magazine, and the all-new 1985 Whole Earth Station catalog. That's a $20 value for just $9. Then close check and address, and you'll start receiving the original grid format for satellite TV. Due to this low price, no phone orders may be taken. Write today. Channel Guide, Department 808A, P.O. Box 1633, Englewood, Colorado, 80150. Do it today.
Scrambling and zoning are no doubt the two biggest issues in the satellite industry today. And with the cooperation of STV Magazine, here are updates on those subjects. Home Box Office, or HBO, recently met with a group of U.S. senators to tell them it has a marketing plan for the home satellite industry. Under the plan, home system owners would have to buy a decoder from HBO and then, in addition, pay a monthly fee for programming. The Satellite Industries Trade Association, SPACE, has a negative reaction to the plan, saying it could be taken as anti-Earth station instead of a way to help the industry. HBO says it would charge $12.95 a month for an HBO feed and $19.95 a month for HBO and Cinemax, 2 feeds. Home satellite owners in a cable franchise area would have to pay an additional fee per month to cable companies. STV Magazine says it thinks the plan is an attempt to kill two bills currently in Congress. Those bills are H.R. 1769 that calls for a 2-year moratorium on scrambling, and H.R. 1840 that calls for a fair marketing plan for programming. The fair marketing bill would put pricing of programming in the hands of the Federal Communications Commission and out of the hands of cable companies and programmers. HBO and cable companies don't want that. They want to set the price for programming. If you support the bills in Congress, you are encouraged to write to your U.S. representative. This is important for the future of the home satellite industry. Those bills, again, are H.R. 1769 and H.R. 1840. STV Magazine says at least 2 positive things have come out of HBO's marketing plan. 1, even though many don't consider it a good plan for the satellite industry, it is at least a plan to address the home satellite market. And 2, HBO says it won't scramble until people have a chance to buy decoders as part of the plan. But the company doesn't say how many people will have decoders before it decides to scramble. In any case, an insider at Maycom says HBO will not scramble this year. On another issue, zoning, the FCC is expected to act favorably on a proposed rule. That rule would preempt local zoning ordinances in cases where the zoning is overly restrictive. The FCC rule would then be subject to local interpretation to decide what overly restrictive means. If you're a watcher of the Nostalgic channel, you can now watch it on a different satellite and channel. It's now on Satcom 4, Transponder 21, and that's right next to the channel you're watching right now. Here's something that could be considered competition for you dealers out there, but then again, maybe not. The Tandy Products division of Radio Shack says it's going to start selling home satellite systems in 2,000 small non-Radio Shack stores across the country. At first, this might strike fear to your heart, competition, but Tandy could bring business for you, being you to do the installation. These news items have been brought to you through the cooperation of STV Magazine. If you have any comment on any of these news articles, please feel free to call us. Our toll-free number is 1-800-826-5285. And for people in Wisconsin and Canada and Mexico, you can call 608-647-4246 and 608-647-8902. Here are some more of the viewer calls we've received so far.
I think it's a real good program. I watch it just about every week. I work rotating shifts beside my dealership, and you know, I catch it. I used to watch it during the afternoon when y'all had it in the afternoon, and now I watch it, you know, as much as I can at night.
I've got an idea. Space, it looks like it would pay them to start a division for dish owners for several reasons. If they're in the legal thing and for the lobbying purposes, it would give them a lot bigger membership. And when they go to lobbying, the more members they got, the better off they are. Also, they could come out, you know, charge like $20, $25 a year. They could be associate members, have no voting rights, but yet get, say, like a monthly newsletter that would keep up with legal issues and stuff like that, because the industry and the dish owners have a lot of common interests.
Do you have any questions or comments about our show or anything else?
Well, I just enjoy it every week, and as everybody else seems to be interested in the scrambling.
I like satellite TV real well. It's been very profitable for us. We install commercial systems as well as residential. We kind of burn out on a little bit because of all of the rinky-dink systems on the market and all the just junk. Clean up their act and get some product out here that works if it rains or if it's dry or whatever. You know, we have a lot of problems with water in the actuators and stuff like that.
Coming up on Satellite Showtime, Satellite Preview 85.
Want to know more about satellite TV? Then go to the source for product reviews and how-tos. We're on the road and out in space, and sometimes in very cold places, with features and technical reports. It's all in Satellite TV. That's only $19.95 for 12 big issues of STV Magazine. Call now, 1-800-438-2020, and get this LCD calendar clock free with your subscription. That's 12 big issues of STV Magazine and the clock for only $19.95. The number again is 1-800-438-2020. 1-800-438-2020. Call now.
Is there a message here for any of us? We recently heard from a man who referred to himself as a hobbyist. His problem is this: dealer attitude. He purchased a $3,100 system and was trying to upgrade it. Dealers he contacted were not interested once they realized he wasn't going to buy a complete system. He told us, "I think such dealers are missing great sales opportunities. If this is going on regularly across the country, a lot of sales are gone." The dealers he contacted could be the exceptions, but it's worth a little soul searching. Another caller complained about admission costs to trade shows. The show he was thinking about attending charged $20 a day for non-exhibitors. He asked, "Is this pricing people out of the industry? Don't exhibitors want the consumer to be at the shows?" Admittedly, some shows are exclusively for the dealers and distributors, and room space is at a premium. We'd be happy to hear from anyone out there who has an answer to this question or who disagrees or agrees with admission fees to the shows. SAT Expo 85 in Denver is going on right now, and here are two other shows you might be interested in attending. The 5th Annual Northwest Satellite Conference will be held at the MGM Grand Hotel in Reno, Nevada, August 2nd through the 4th, and Satellite Symposium 85 will be held in Toronto, July 1st through the 3rd. We've heard a lot about scrambling and how it poses a threat to the satellite industry. But there's another issue that some people consider even more of a threat than scrambling, and that is zoning. On the final segment of the panel discussion, Satellite Preview 85, our panelists talk about zoning. This discussion was taped in March. It will be featured in its entirety the evenings of May 28th and June 4th, starting at 8 p.m. Eastern. It will be brought to you by Luxor. Here's our final 15-minute segment, moderated by STV Magazine editor Chris Schultheis.
Okay, we're back. Scrambling is a red herring, and it is being blown way out of proportion. We've already stated that we'd only lose 10% of the services if everybody scrambled. There's serious question about the technical ability to scramble. There's serious question of the time frame that it could be implemented in. Scrambling for cable head ends and scrambling for home satellite users just complicates the entire issue. We have other problems in this industry, and perhaps more serious, and perhaps even more difficult to fight, and that is zoning, municipal and local zoning regulations. It's a difficult battle to fight because it's on so many fronts. I mean, we just can't all go to Washington and march on the Hill, because you've got to deal with governments all over the nation, 10,000 different governments, from towns of 600 to cities of 6 million. Some of the examples, and this one is somewhat of an extreme example of the type of zoning that is being passed, is one in Plantation, Florida, where they basically have said that satellite earth stations are illegal, and you cannot have one unless you get a letter from your local cable company saying it's okay. Now, we talk about conflict and restraint of trade and monopolies, and there's an absolutely prime example. And the people in Plantation, Florida, when questioned about that, they said, "We know it's illegal. We'll just continue doing it until somebody makes us stop doing it." And the key to remember is that many of these municipalities get franchise fees, which could be quite significant. So there is a conflict there. Okay, that's probably not the primary reason, though, that municipalities are passing zoning legislation. There is the problem of a 10-foot dish in the front yard, and your neighbor may object to it. Many of the municipalities are being somewhat reasonable, but they lack knowledge of what it's all about. They really don't understand the complexities of putting in a satellite earth station. Chuck, zoning is uppermost on Space's mind. Senator Barry Goldwater, as a matter of fact, is sponsoring a motion. Why don't you fill us in with what's going on and tell us how we can help, because it's so important that we all get involved in this.
Yes, it is. In fact, I think I really agree with you on a long-term basis. The zoning issue is a much more difficult and a bigger roadblock to us as the industry and as well as the consumer in the future than in scrambling, because scrambling I think we can resolve. I think we're going to solve that problem. We're going to go through a year or two of rocky understanding, but ultimately we're going to guarantee access. So I think that scrambling is something that we have to go all out on, but I feel confident that we can resolve it. And once it's resolved, it's no longer with us, unlike zoning, which can be with us for a long, long time. You hit the nail on the head as far as the variety of problems you come with. Plantation, Florida is wild. Coral Gables, we had a complete ban. We went to court. The court ruled you can't have a complete ban. You have to allow our stations in. So now Coral Gables, we learned as of last week, says, yeah, you can have them, but you'll have to file for a permit, and the permit will take 12 months to process. So in essence, they are even resisting court action, court order, to try to prevent their stations coming in. How we're set up at Space to handle zoning is we receive phone calls in our office, and we see at what level the problem is. Is it someone just introducing it, someone raising the issue? Who is it, who's calling us? You know, in some communities, many of our dealers are very active politically, and so therefore they know the councilman or they know the mayor or and this kind of thing. So we can work very well with that council, and we provide the space zoning book to them. We'll provide them some case law, some opinions about the law, and we'll provide it, and we can very easily handle it. And in some communities, it's very quick. We get an ordinance. We recommend that an ordinance be passed. Having an ordinance on the record and then trying to change it is very, very difficult. So what we have 2 recommended ordinances in our zoning book, plus there are other variances in which the local dealers or a group of consumers can ask for, that can create an ordinance which will help, which will protect health and safety, and may even deal with aesthetics. So we try to handle it at that level. If, on the other hand, it's a serious problem where you have several people really trying to prevent the air station industry from coming in, usually sponsored by a cable company or indirectly by cable companies, or the question of franchise fees for the city comes up. Then we turn that over to our attorneys, and in particular Fred Finn of Brown and Finn, and they go to work in providing data to the local dealers and to the consumers to fight that battle.
Is it true that the legislators in Washington, the politicians, are loath to attack this zoning problem?
It is,
because they don't want to lock horns with municipal politicians and constituents?
Yes, this is a more difficult thing for us on the federal level, because you've hit the nail on the head. Legislatures they don't like to go interfere with the local governments. And especially, you know, maybe 15 or 20 years ago, it would have been easier for us because at that time the tide of federal government was to take over everything. Today the tide is the other way around, which we all think, you know, a lot of people support. But basically, you know, so we don't want to interfere with the local. So in the zoning area, it's a harder battle in Congress to get support to do something because of this, we don't want to interfere with local government. Now, Senator Goldwater has introduced a resolution calling for the FCC to preempt local zoning boards. Now, I don't want to mislead anyone. If that happens and that resolution passes, and if FCC actually preempts, that doesn't necessarily solve the problem. That only says that it is in the public interest that satellite earth stations be accessible by the individual citizen. It doesn't mean that the local zoning board can't require certain kinds of legitimate zoning ordinances. And in that process, there will be local zoning boards who will say they will define that differently and will put such restrictions in, like a one-year permit process, which we'll have to go to court on. So
what we're looking for is reasonable guidelines.
Exactly, reasonable guidelines. So right now, what we're asking people to do is we're asking the consumer and our dealers to write their congressmen and senators in support of Senator Goldwater's resolution. We've also filed with the FCC for preemption, and we hope that the FCC will put out a document for comments sometime within the next few months, maybe even sooner than that, within the next few weeks possibly. So the preemption would help a great deal. What it does, it stops the absolute bans. It stops the very clear step by the part of a city or a zoning board to try to stop our stations. But then we have to go to court to define where the line is drawn.
May I interject this just briefly? The size of a dish seems to always be at the heart of the zoning issue. And while not trying to interpose upon the dealer structure, I think that there are some options that are product related that are going to be here today and going to develop. The dishes above 10 feet are actuated, can track the whole arc. Dishes of 5 to 6 feet are able to pick up Galaxy in many areas. They're fixed, they're smaller. And I believe that dealers today should embrace the future of, in certain applications, KU band technology and dishes of 2 feet. If the dish is really the heart of a zoning concern within a city, I believe dealers do have the options to go as low as 2 feet, realistically, and go into the 12-foot, 15-foot range.
I have a question there. What in Charlotte, North Carolina, if I put a 2-foot dish, what am I going to get?
5 channels.
Of what?
Of TCI's new rolled out service.
Well,
now,
I mean, we're comparing 100 channels with
again,
a C-band system.
You're comparing it. I'm saying the zoning issue does not put you out of the satellite receive business.
Yeah,
you're
Lloyd,
saying it does.
Lloyd, the reality of the thing is that it's going to be C-band for the next 3 to 4
Right.
years or so. And I think that horizon is what's being addressed. And I'll tell you, scrambling is going to set back these shortcuts. It's definitely going to set back these shortcuts. These systems, ours and other people's, when they go in the air, are going to provide some very big surprises to people who are buying these cheap systems. My advice to anybody would be, don't start looking at dishes much lower than 10 feet. And I know a lot of people aren't going to like to hear that, but I'm just telling you right here and now that cheap solutions to trading off the antenna size and the receiver costs and so forth down into these $200 and $300 receivers, they won't work with scrambling systems.
Lloyd, I think I'd even say that I think there's another problem that's inherent to our arguments both on scrambling and zoning. And that is the right of access of all citizens to all communications information flow. And even though maybe in terms of political climate, of a local political climate, you'd want to go to smaller dish, the fact is, on a real strong legal base, if I have to have a 10-foot dish to see everything, then I think you're going to find that the constitutional issues and the legal issues are going to be followed.
That should be your right.
That is your right, regardless
of
First Amendment. Regardless, everyone would rather have everyone have 6-foot dish or a 4-foot dish, what have you. So I think that's on a legal basis. It's the access is the issue, and it's not an issue of aesthetics. Now, where I thought you were going with your statement, I would happen to agree with. I think that dealers have to take into account landscaping. And I think most dealers are today, but I think it's becoming more and more important. It's interesting, on your earlier program, they were talking in terms of the mesh dishes becoming more and more popular, which I'm sure is true and which all of our statistics would agree with. But I have pictures, and I'm sure many dealers have pictures, of solid white dishes in a proper landscaping that look a lot better than a mesh dish would in that particular setting. So what I thought you were referring to, Lloyd, is I think that a dealer needs to take a hard look at the home, the neighborhood, the landscaping, and in that light, the dish that's recommended should go parallel with the landscaping issue as well as the performance issue.
Install it in such a way as it's unobtrusive.
Exactly. Like I say, a solid, I heard earlier that, and I didn't see any comments to the contrary, that, an 8-foot solid dish is better than an 8-foot mesh dish, but maybe, which I would assume then a 10-foot mesh dish would be as good as an 8-foot solid dish. I don't know if that's true or not. But I would say, in any sense, that if a solid dish can be put in landscaping, then use a solid. If it's a mesh dish, use a mesh. But don't necessarily pick the product based purely on the performance level. You have to take in consideration the aesthetics.
Gary, do you pay attention to the aesthetics when you're doing an installation? Do you look around? Is that a consideration?
Oh, yes, it is. We don't recommend that someone puts the dish in the front yard, for instance, because we know the neighbors are going to be upset. So we try to take that into account. Of course, the reality is that, at least within the city limits, a lot of times there's only one place in his back or side yard that he can get all the satellites. So we put it there. And
are you running into zoning problems?
Yes, we're starting to now. Just recently. Well, there's one community that we are active in. Their proposed is to not have over, I think it's 18 feet high, over a 10-foot, 15-foot dish, none on the roof, which would outlaw the everything, KU band and all of them. And
that doesn't, that sounds like one of the milder zoning regulations I've heard.
But it still needs to be dealt with, because in recognizing, and I think the thing you have to deal with the zoning board on that, absolutely barring what may be not only the best reception, but maybe the best aesthetic position. In other words, a pole mount that's 25 foot high, hooked to the back of the house, looking over the top of the house is better than the front yard.
You may see some, sorry, Chuck.
Go ahead.
You may see, I think, a change in people's attitudes in that I think a couple of years ago when Papa came home and said, out of Popular Mechanics or Science, I've got this big thing I want to put in the yard, and his wife said, you know, take your clothes and move out if you do that. Now she is saying, where's my kid? And he's down the block looking at the satellite dish. I think we're in transition as a marketer. I think we're in transition that a dish is becoming a status symbol. And I think some of the radical objections may quieten down a little bit.
Well, I think also that, you know, majority of Americans still don't know the benefits. I mean, a great majority of people do not know what tremendous offerings that satellite earth stations have. And I think that once we get that message out, then people are going to look at it a little differently. And it's also, let's face facts, they're new. They're ugly because they're new and in a yard, and we're not used to them. You know, I would hate to say that if zoning boards were around when the telephone lines were made strong, we obviously wouldn't have telephone. And it's true with telephone, electricity, I mean, the whole works. So
certainly.
Part of it is if we can install them with landscaping as being one of the paramount thinking parts of all of our dealers, couple that with then the process of a status symbol and getting used to the looks of earth stations, then I think that we're going to have fewer zoning problems.
Chuck? Satellite television is the entertainment of the 80s. It is a tremendous breakthrough. It's equal opportunity of programming for people all over North America, for people all over the world. It's going to go much further than the shores of North America. It is economically the only feasible way to get programming broadcast over the entire nation. We've got a couple of battles to fight. One is scrambling, the second one is zoning. Chuck, how can we get the people out there involved in this battle? How can we get heard and represented both on the Hill and at the municipal level? What should these people do?
Well, I mean, first of all, in the zoning area, we need copies of the ordinances and the proposed ordinances and work with both consumer and the dealer in trying to rally their forces locally to deal with the zoning issue. We need also the consumer and the dealer to write their congressmen and senators, stay in contact with those people, and support Goldwater's legislation on resolution on zoning, and we're having hopefully some legislation introduced on scrambling within the next few weeks, and we need a lot of support behind that. We've created a viewer rights fund in which we want consumers to participate with, and we're going to be seeking, following our trade show April 1 and 2, to get consumers to communicate with us and communicate with their congressmen and senators on both these issues. And we're asking the program guys to participate with us by using them to communicate to the consumer.
Great. We've come to an end. We hope you've enjoyed it. We hope we've answered a few of your questions. I'm sure we've made many other questions arise in your mind. And perhaps we'll be back again to go over the ongoing problems and the excitement of this industry.
On the evenings of May 28th and June 4th, you'll have a special treat. Luxor is sponsoring the 2-hour panel discussion, Satellite Preview 85, in its entirety, starting at 8 o'clock Eastern Time. Be sure to watch. It covers all aspects of the satellite industry. Coming up on Satellite Showtime this evening, the Cultronics Video Newsletter.
Are you confused about satellite programming guides? Are you tired of monthly inaccurate guides that are big and bulky and about as much fun to use as a city phone book? How about tabloids with hard-to-read print, incomplete movie listings that are about as easy to use as a road map? Or newspaper guides with confusing grids that fall apart in your hands? There is an alternative. Onset, the easy-to-read, easy-to-use weekly programming guide with more movies and sports. Best of all, Onset is only $39. That's right, 52 issues for only $39. But don't take our word for it. We'll send you a free copy of Onset, and you can judge for yourself. And if you're a dealer, ask about our dealer program. Make your customers happy and make money. Call OnSat now. Toll free 1-800-438-2020 or write OnSat, Box 2347, Shelby, North Carolina, 28150. OnSat, you've seen the rest. Now try the best.
Hello, Joe Kelch here with Coltronics Video Newsletter. To start out our show this evening, we're going to have a special segment on a recent presentation made at the Lone Rock production facilities of Coltronics. In that presentation, President John Call of Coltronics was the recipient of an American flag which has been flown over our U.S. Capitol in Washington. Also a certificate to show the appreciation of his employees for the employment and for the excellence of the work that they have at the Lone Rock facility. Presentation was made by Vice President of Coltronics, Ross Halverson.
On behalf of the staff and the employees of Coltronics Incorporated, we'd like to present you, John, with this flag that has flown over our nation's capital.
This kind of unexpected pleasure. Maybe it's a way for everybody to take a little extra break here, but that sounds good.
This has flown over Ronnie's capital.
You mean our house in Washington, huh? Whoa, looks pretty nice. Did you go get this yourself, Ross?
No, this was acquired by David Birdsfield.
Oh.
He has an in with our senator or something out there, I guess.
So that's a manual that tells about it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay, here's a certificate.
Oh, all right. Kind of like Christmas, huh? Ooh, that's nice. I don't know if they can see that or not.
This has flown especially over the capital of our nation for John Call.
Is that what that says on there?
That's right.
Jeez, that's pretty slick.
And here's
that's
a little
what we get for them taxes we've been
certificate
paying.
of appreciation from everybody here.
Well,
in the group.
Tell you what, this is nice. The flag is great. But coming from our people, I appreciate that the most. I want to thank everybody here. I really
thank you, John.
A lot.
John's employees showed appreciation to him for bringing jobs and employment to the area. On behalf of Coltronics, I'd like to make a comment or two about the viewer survey that was mentioned earlier on this portion of Satellite Showtime. And that is that we have the second week, of course, of our survey received so many more calls, and we're really inundated with calls and appreciation of the program, which we are very thankful for. We do have a request, however, and that is we would like people in a specific few states and provinces of Canada to give us a call. If you would this evening, we'll be around and we'll stay here as long as the calls come in. These are the states we haven't heard from yet. We've heard from so many states and so many calls from each state, with Texas still the leader. But the states we'd like to hear from out there are New Mexico, Nevada, Idaho, Wyoming, and Arkansas. We're sure you have your dishes out there pointed this direction. So let's hear from you on the numbers that are listed on the screen. Also, you people in Canada, the numbers, I know the 800 numbers don't work there, but if you would invest 50 cents, 75 cents, give us a call from Alberta, Saskatchewan, Quebec, New Brunswick, Nova Scotia, and even those of you way out in Prince Edward Island. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you very much. Now we'd like to invite you to listen to Jim Pletzer, Regional Sales Manager, concerning a letter, a very special letter that he got recently.
Today I'm going to read a letter to you written by Mr. Ed Grabowski of Global Satellite near Tampa, Florida. The letter reads, "We received our initial shipment of KT35 antennas. Thank you for processing our initial order so promptly. As per our phone conversation of Friday, April 19th, 1985, we installed a KT35 on a trailer to do a field test of a product designed by myself capable of sending vertical, horizontal, UHF, and VHF signals up one cable to condos, apartments, etc. The test was a complete success. The signal from Galaxy 1 was picked up by your KT-Trans-10 into a high-tech feed horn, amplified by a high-tech LNA, non-isolated that is, up the side of a 14-story building, across the roof to an input 59 cable, down to the 8th floor equipment room. We had a superb picture at our MATV head end. We were then capable of sending all 24 satellite channels into each condo by using our product with an electronically modified SATEC 5100 receiver. Just for the heck of it, we then looked up at SATCOM 3 and had virtually an almost snow-free picture on all transponders, odd and even alike. And that really amazed me, being that we were here in Tampa, Florida. It is my own personal opinion that the KT-Trans-10, when set up to its optimum, can outperform a 10.5-foot light construction of antenna manufactured here in Florida. Thank you very much, Mr. Ed Grabowski, Global Satellite. Now, I might add, for you viewers out there tonight, this is just one of the many testimonials that we have received. For you people in Florida, for any of you people out there across the United States, give me a call for your nearest distributor, and we'd be glad to set you up. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Jim, for that testimonial about Qualtronics products. And we've been receiving letters also from other places and phone calls. Here's one from a man in Ames, Iowa.
You know, believe it or not, I enjoy your advertising almost as much as I do the rest of the program, because I get to see your Trans-10 and look at your, your antenna systems and stuff.
Quality, performance, and strength, and all at a highly competitive price. That's the all-new Trans-10 Mesh by Qualtronics. Engineered for maximum durability and reflective surface, the Trans-10 is also extremely easy to look at. The extra-strength hub is parabolically formed to maximize signal strength. Like the keystone of a great building, the hub is engineered of 3/16-inch prime steel and measures a solid 14.5 inches in diameter. The ribs are made of superior strength tubular 16-gauge steel encased in polytrans vinyl. The polytrans vinyl ribs have full half-inch unobstructed mesh retaining channels. The mesh panels slide smoothly into place, simply and surely, making for fast assembly time and snug positioning. Another bonus is better retention of panels in high wind areas. The Trans-10 is UPS shippable anywhere in the United States with a weight of 145 pounds without mount. It means easy handling. Without a doubt, the Trans-10 by Qualtronics is the front runner in the industry, the ultimate mesh antenna design because of quality, performance, and eye appeal.
In addition to those names of the distributors nationally for the Trans 10, we'd like to add this one personally. It's National CompuSat of Prairie View, Kansas, and their numbers are on the screen. You know, we haven't told you recently about our branch offices out in various parts of the country, Boulder, Colorado, Las Vegas, Nevada, and down in Atlanta, Georgia. The managers would be glad to hear from you. In Boulder, it's Peter Beeman, and Rudy La Paz is in Las Vegas, and Ron Cockcroft is down in Atlanta. And their numbers are on the screen. Give them a call. They'll be glad to hear from you. A special contest coming your way starting next week. The serial number that you'll find on your mount will be the one that will be the winner. The mount number will be announced next week. One number. Each mount has a different number, of course. And if you get the number that wins, just give us a call and you'll be receiving the prize, which will be also announced next week. And we hope that you're the winner.
The only stainless steel antennas in the industry are produced by Qualtronics. On a massive press that required 3 railroad cars to move to the plant site, the antennas are hydroformed each day. Using water in the hydroforming process, the antennas are turned out in 3 sizes, 66-inch, 90-inch, and 112 inches. Sheets of 304 gauge stainless steel are placed precisely on the press in preparation for the massive pressure to start the patented process during which the parabolic curve is developed. Tons of pressure are exerted during the process, an absolute necessity where stainless steel is concerned because of its superior strength and toughness. But once the stainless steel antenna is formed, it keeps that shape thanks to its molecular memory. That's why Qualtronics can offer a 10-year warranty on its antennas. The parabolic curve will not change. The Nova SS 112-inch antenna has been tested and approved for 2-degree spacing. Tests were conducted by Telstat Corporation of Houston, Texas. Qualtronics knows that because the press die is extremely accurate, thousands of dishes can be turned out with the same high quality. This is not the case with spun metal dishes, where each succeeding dish varies from the die because of the wear during the process.
Well, we still have a quantity of posters on hand, beautiful posters too. We'd like you to have one or 2. Just give us a call. We'll be sending them to you.
Qualtronics is happy to be an authorized distributor and service center for the innovative satellite home electronics equipment from Luxor, a name synonymous with high technology. We would like to take a moment to give you a closer look at some of these innovative electronics from Luxor. The Luxor 9550 remote-controlled satellite receiver. The Luxor 9550 gives you total control over the satellite spectrum. 24 channels can be selected, fine-tuned, and then programmed for automatic recall. 4 different audio systems, mono or stereo, can be selected in either wide or narrow bandwidth for programming with any channel. A built-in stereo processor for both TV audio or stereo sound only eliminates the necessity for an add-on external stereo processor. An RF modulator in the receiver provides easy connection to any TV set. The 9550 is not only a satellite television receiver, it will feed a hi-fi stereo system with quality audio-only signals. You can also make professional quality VCR recordings via the audio-video baseband outputs. Compare these features with systems costing much more. You'll see the extra value in investing in a Luxor. The Luxor 9534 antenna actuator. Now you can have fully automatic satellite selection at your command by remote control. The location of 30 different satellites can be precisely defined and programmed for automatic recall at the touch of a button. The unit is designed coordinated to interface with a Luxor 9550 satellite receiver. Introducing a new generation of electronic excellence. Now, several television sets throughout your home can have independent channel selection at the same time from a single antenna. Advanced block conversion and high-performance technology bring you quality picture stability. Temperature-sensitive components are in the receiver inside the house. A built-in stereo processor for both TV audio and stereo sound only eliminates the necessity for an external add-on stereo processor. The entire system is easy to install. It's great. Simultaneous multi-channel TV viewing is here. The art and science of electronics put a whole new world of television right at your fingertips. The Scantic is packed with the state-of-the-art features designed and built to the most exacting European standards. Created to expand your video and audio universe into crystal clear reception and virtually unlimited viewing selection. Touch your way to a wonderful new experience in sight and sound. Easy channel selection, 24 programmable channels. Pick up all 24 transponder channels on each satellite with simple digital push-button control. Choose even or odd channels, step up or down at the touch of a button. Bright LED display can be seen from across the room. Precise fine-tuning for each of 24 channels is automatic and programmable. You can also make your own fine-tuning adjustments with a fingertip touch with the AFC off. Feature for feature, Scantic delivers more versatility and higher quality performance automatically for less.
We'll have the conclusion of Satellite Showtime right after this.
Welcome to the world of Satellite TV Opportunities, the magazine that brings you inside information on successful marketing and sales techniques, details the latest in new technology, and lets you see how other dealers increase their sales and profits.
Satellite TV Opportunities magazine is the marketing techniques magazine for satellite TV dealers. Our single purpose is to help dealers increase their sales and their profits through improved marketing techniques.
Satellite TV Opportunities offers insight into the latest trends in marketing, profiles thriving businesses, and surveys what TVRO buyers are really after. Subscribe today by calling 1-800-922-2812. For $25, you get a full year subscription to Satellite TV Opportunities, a magazine full of new ideas that will help your business thrive. 1-800-922-2812. Call today. MasterCard and Visa accepted.
Satellites are making possible things thought impossible before. For instance, in the not-too-distant past, who would have thought it possible to have a face-to-face conversation with a loved one from thousands of miles away? Well, that kind of thing is happening right now, as we hear in this report from the New Tech Times, based in Madison, Wisconsin.
One of America's favorite holiday traditions is getting together with family. So this past Christmas, John Sternberg and his family in Atlanta sat across the table from Jim Sternberg and his family from Sacramento. But brother Jim and his family were still in Sacramento.
We just got our black and white set last year. We've just been introduced to TV. They come out with this stuff.
I can't believe this. I mean, what life in the 80s, I guess.
The Sternbergs are visiting coast to coast and face to face via satellite. Commercial television pictures have been bouncing off satellites for more than 20 years, but the practice of conducting business meetings through satellite video conferencing has only recently become popular. And this may be the first time that a family reunion has been conducted through outer space. It's part of an experiment conducted by the Meeting Channel, a satellite video conference service headquartered in Atlanta. During the holidays, the Meeting Channel's satellite dish was not being used by businesses. So the folks at the Meeting Channel decided to test the family market.
It's been tremendous, and I think especially because we planned it around the holidays, and most of the airlines jack their prices up in the holidays, and the delayed flights, lost luggage, all of that makes travel really uncomfortable. And this is a good way of being with your families without having to do the traveling.
There's Grandma. There's Grandma.
This one here?
Yeah, Grandma. Can they see us?
Yeah.
They're waving.
It had been a long time since the Sternberg family in Atlanta had seen Jim Sternberg in Sacramento. And this is the first time Jim's wife, Kathy, and his daughter, Pamela, have met Jim's family. Kathy helped to plan this video conference as a surprise for Jim.
Well, you know, this is one of those things that I'm not even going to think it's real until maybe tomorrow afternoon.
But after the initial surprise, Jim needed to learn about some of the technical aspects of video conferencing. Things like how to control the camera.
Hit CD in the middle. See CD?
A television camera is placed inconspicuously behind a smoked glass window above the viewing screen. Its movement can be controlled by pushing buttons on a panel at the conference table. The control panel can also be used to send pictures from a camera located in the ceiling. The pictures and the sound are electronically processed in the meeting channel's control room and can be beamed by satellite to any of the 13 meeting channel studios across the country. At the receiving end, the signal is reprocessed and projected onto a 5-foot television screen. The picture is fuzzy and jumpy because the meeting channel doesn't use the same transmission standards as commercial TV. The sound is telephone quality, and there is a slight delay while the signal travels into space and back at the speed of light. But these limitations seem small to the families that took advantage of holiday video conferencing.
We can live with the delay in exchange for getting this kind of a service to be able to get together on the holidays.
Yeah, you guys have been terrific Santa Clauses all this Christmas. We love the stockings and all the gifts and everything.
Holiday video conferencing for families has proven to be so popular that the meeting channel plans to do it again on other holidays. For some families, this could become a new tech tradition.
I don't know. What are we going to do next time? I don't know. We're going to have trouble topping this one. I don't know. Hopefully he'll be with us next year. We won't have to do this again.
You felt close, but yet, you still sense the distance. So, somewhat of a melancholy feeling.
You love New Year. We love you.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
You love New Year. We love you.
Happy New Year.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.
We've received a lot of calls from people wanting technical tips.
I'd like to see more technical-oriented programming, hands-on stuff. But it's more a general idea. I would like to see a little more on the technical matters.
If you have a technical question that you would like answered, we have a contest for you. Send a postcard to Tech Tips, care of Nova Video Productions, Box 637, Highway 14 East, Richland Center, Wisconsin, 53581. Put your name and address on the postcard along with a technical question you would like answered. If we answer that question during one of our programs, you will win a free Satellite Showtime t-shirt. So do write to us with your tech tip question. Next week on Satellite Showtime, we'll bring you a whole bunch of fresh information from Sat Expo 85 in Denver. A crew is out there right now doing interviews with people involved in all aspects of the satellite industry. That's next week on Satellite Showtime. Until then, good night.